Hello, I am Khaja Asifullah from Government Degree College, Palaknuma, Hyderabad. I am today taking the topic from atomic structure. It is the third lesson or part 3. Actually, we discussed about the Bose model, which was not able to explain the hydrogen spectrum and also the Stark and Zeeman effect. Because of that, scientists proceed further and Schrödinger worked on quantum mechanical approach to atomic structure and gave equation named by him, Schrödinger wave equation, as follows. It is d square by dx square psi plus d square by dy square psi plus d square by dz square psi plus 8 pi square m by h square into total energy minus potential energy into psi is equal to 0. This is called Schrödinger wave equation. When we solve this equation, we get the probability of finding an electron, or it gives the distribution of electron around the nucleus in an atom. This actually is in for 3 dimensional. That means the equation derived by Schrödinger is for 3 dimensionals, x, y, and z, and these are called Cartesian coordinates. In this equation, m stands for mass of electron, E total energy, and PE is potential energy. When we subtract E minus V, we will get kinetic energy. Therefore, in the equation, total energy minus potential energy will give you the kinetic energy. His equation is based on de Broglie's idea, which says that the electron can be treated as a standing wave in an orbit around the nucleus of an atom, a stationary wave instead of a particle. Here, the solution of Ribot equation for the given values of psi, actually psi has no significance. Psi square will give you significance, and the solution for the above equation will give you the electron distribution space and the allowed or permitted energy levels of a particle which is moving in a magnetic field. That means when Schrödinger wave equation is solved for certain values of psi, the wave function, then we get values of energy which are called permitted or allowed energy levels. This is in accordance with Bohr's postulate of quantization of energy, in which he says that only certain values for energy are allowed, not the all. This is the reason why he says that the energy is absorbed by electron or emitted by electron in photons, 1 photon, 2 photons, like that. and also the probability to find an electron around the nucleus in an atom, which is called electron distribution. And after solving the equation, when we plot a graph between electron density and the distance from the center of nucleus, that is nothing but the radius of an orbit in an atom, that is atomic radius for a particular orbit. We get radial probability curve. That means the curve which we get as a graph is called a radial probability curve. These curves give an idea that at a particular place, which is certain units away from the nucleus, there is probability of finding an electron around the nucleus of an atom. And this is called orbital. So you please remember that the space around the nucleus of an atom where there is probability of finding an electron is called orbital. Second thing, here we are talking about the probability of finding an electron. Why? Why can't we give exact position of electron? This is because electron is fast moving particle. It is very small and light in weight or mass, and its velocity is very high. Second thing, according to Heisenberg principle, for particles like electron whose velocity is high, it is not possible for us to calculate the position and the momentum simultaneously. So from this radial probability curve, we get the shapes of orbital, or we can draw the shapes of orbital. What is radial probability curve? It is actually here in this diagram or figure. These are three axes, X, Y, and Z. This is because I told you just now it is a three-dimensional figure. And this is the origin of these three axes. Let us assume that this is the center of atom or center of nucleus. Okay? Center of nucleus and center of atom will be same. From this point to this, let us assume that this is an orbit. Then the distance from origin to this line or curve will be called as radius. Okay? This is called a radial distribution curve, a radial probability curve. In this graph or diagram, we have the radial probability curve for three orbitals, namely 1s, 2s, and 2p. You should remember that in first orbit, there will be only one sublevel and only one orbital. In second sublevel, there will be two orbitals, 2s and 2p. This is the electron probability or electron distribution, or it is also called as density, electron density. It is taken on y-axis, and this is the radius which is taken on x-axis. So this is the radius which we are taking on x-axis and the electron density on y-axis. Then You see, for one s orbital, the electron density is starting from here, means the electron density is not zero at the center of the nucleus. It is at the origin or center, it is not zero. That you please keep it in mind. For 2s also, this is not equal to zero, but electron density or probability of finding electron is not zero at the origin for either 1s or 2s. That means for any s orbital, the electron density is not zero at the center or origin. Whereas for p orbital, you can see that the electron density at the center is zero, isn't it? From this graph, it is clear. This is the plot of 2p orbital for 2p. From this, we get 2p orbital. Okay. In p orbital, for any p orbital, the density or electron density will be zero at the center. So when we draw the figure, we have to keep it in mind that the electron density should not be shown at the center. There it will be zero. Therefore, that point is called nodal point. Or if there is a plane where electron density is zero, that is called nodal plane. So in s orbital, there is no nodal plane or nodal point because the electron density is not zero at that point. Whereas for p orbital, there will be nodal point and nodal plane for every p orbital. Now, just now I gave you the definition of an orbital. It is nothing but the space around the nucleus in an atom where there is a probability of finding an electron. And you know that every orbital can accommodate not more than 2 electrons. So the capacity of any orbital is 2 electrons only. Means there will be 3 conditions. In first condition, the orbital may be empty. In second condition, it may have electron, but again there will be 2 conditions. First, it may have 1 electron or it may have 2 electrons, which is the maximum capacity. So if it has 1 electron, it is generally called as half-filled orbital. And if it has 2 electrons in it, then it is called completely filled orbital. Now, because according to Sommerfeld, there will be electrical orbits present in an atom around the nucleus in which electrons can revolve around the nucleus as the electron do in both circular orbit. Those are called sub-energy levels, and you know that sub-energy levels are designated by S, P, D, and F. And there will be orbitals in every sub-energy level, and they are also named as S orbital, E orbital, D orbital, and F orbital. So orbitals are of 4 types, and they are designated as S, P, D, and F orbitals. And the solution to wave equation give different shape for different orbitals. From the solution, when we draw the shapes of orbital, these are different. And it is based on the radial probability curves as we discussed just now. For example, radial probability curve for s orbital as we seen is like this. These are the curves for 1s and 2s orbitals. And as I told you, this is the electron density which is not equal to 0 at the center. Therefore, the s orbital will be of this shape. It is considered to be like an sphere, and it is symmetrical to all axes. Therefore, the shape of s orbital is spherically symmetrical. So remember, the shape of s orbital is spherically symmetrical. Now, as the energy levels increases, means from first to second, second to third, their energies increases. Therefore, the s orbital also has bigger shape. This is for 1s, 2s, 3s. Now, as I told you, in probability distribution curve, a radial probability curve, for p orbital, it is 0 electron density at the center, means there will be a node. Because it is a stationary wave, we can say that there is a node, means at the center no electron, or the possibility of electron is not there, or probability of finding electron is 0 for p orbital. Similarly, for d orbital also, the probability of finding electron at the center will be 0. Same is the case for f orbital. Okay, so in all these three orbitals, in the case of three orbitals p, d, f, probability of finding electron at the center or origin is 0. So there will be node, and the plane passing through this node is called nodal plane. This point is called nodal point. Let us consider this line as a plane. If it is in 2 dimensions, it will be plane like this. It will be called as nodal plane. So for p orbital, there will be a nodal plane. Similar for d and f orbitals also. Now, this is the curve or graph when we consider it as psi square. This is like this. For s orbital, for p orbital, like that. Now, let us consider p orbital. The shape of p orbital is thimble shape and has 2 lobes lying on each axis. That means on x-axis, it will have 2 lobes, on y-axis 2 lobes, on z-axis 2 lobes, 2 into 3 is 6 lobes, and 2 lobes will give you 1 orbital. Similarly, these are named as px orbital, py orbital, and pz orbital. If the lobes are lying on x-axis, then it is called p orbital. If the lobes are on y-axis, it is called py orbital. And if the lobes are on z-axis, then it is called pz orbital. Now, first orbit has no p orbital. Why? Because it is smaller in size. Therefore, only one subshell, only one orbital called as 1s. In second orbit, there will be 2 orbitals. Why? Because there will be 2 subshells, and the 2 type of orbitals are s and p orbitals. Therefore, we have 2 p orbitals. Their shape will be like this. These are the lobes, 1 lobe, 2 lobe, and this is the axis. These lobes are lying on the x-axis, therefore it is called 2px orbital. One will be with minus and the other will be with plus sign. Okay, so this is the shape of 2p orbitals. Again, this is the point where there is no electron density, or electron density is 0, or probability of finding electron here is 0. And we can say these two are nodal planes. Similar for py orbitals, because it belongs to second level, we can say 2py orbital, one lobe above the origin and second is below, minus plus for z. So it is 2pz orbital. Three orbitals of 2p level. Coming to the third orbit, in third orbit, we will be having three sublevels, namely S, P, and D sublevels. And same is the case with orbital. That means we have S orbital, P orbital, and D orbital. 3s, 3p, 3d. As we know, the shape of S orbital is spherically symmetrical. For P, it is dumbbell. For D, it will be double dumbbell. The shape of D orbital is double dumbbell. Actually, the shapes are nothing but we are getting from the solution for psi, or the wave equation, and then drawing the radial probability curves. And these are the 5 d orbitals, means d orbitals are of two types. Here, d orbitals are two types. They have two sets of d orbital. One set, in one set, we have 3 d orbitals. One is dxy, second is dyz, and the third is dzx. Why they are divided into two sets? Because of the shape and also their lobes lying either between the axis or on the axis. So in first set of d orbitals, there are 3 orbitals called as dxy, dyz, and dzx. In this case, the lobes will be between the axis, and it is double dumbbell, means for every d orbital there will be 4 lobes. The other set contains 2 orbitals. Totally, there are 5 orbitals in D sublevel. These two are named as dx square minus y square and dz square. In dx square y square, the lobes will be on the axis. Again, in dz square also, the lobes will be on the axis, but there will be only 2 lobes, like in the case of p orbital, but there will be a ring around these lobes. These are the figures or shapes of the d orbital. These are the 3 axes. It is first set of 3 orbitals. First set of 3 d orbitals. It may be from 3d or 4d, etc. Means from third level or fourth level or like that. But it is a d orbital. In this case, where it is named as dxy, dxy, lobes are like this. 4 lobes are there, all are lying between the axes. dxy, dyz, and dzx. And this is the orbital where lobes are on the axis. This is called dx square minus y square, and this is called dz square. It has only two lobes, but there is a ring around this lobe. So this is the shape of d orbital. This will be like this. Now, if we summarize and compare the shapes of three orbitals, s orbital, p orbital, and d orbital, they look like this. S orbital, symmetrically spherical or spherically symmetrical. P orbital, having two lobes called as dumbbell shape. Lobes are on the axis. And in d orbital, four lobes is called double dumbbell, and lobes may be on the axis or between the axis. But here in s orbital, there is possibility or probability of finding electron at the center or origin. In these cases, there is no possibility or zero probability here to find the electron at the origin. Now the fourth orbital. This is called f orbital. The shape of f orbital is complex. These are 7 in number. 7 f orbitals are there, and the shape can be illustrated by taking this figure. Very complex figure. So the shapes of f orbital, we can say that these are complex. Now, this is s orbital. These are s orbital drawn in one figure. This is one s orbital. Okay. This is 2s orbital. The inner circle, because it is a paper, I am not saying that it is a circular in shape. Actually, it is spherical in nature, but on paper we draw it as a circle. So this inner circle represents 1s orbital, and this represents 2s orbital. Then comes p orbital. This is p x orbital, py orbital, pz orbital, and the lobes are on the axis. They are lying on the axis in all these three. Therefore, we can draw like this. This is plane. This is the plane where there is no probability of finding electron. Therefore, it is called nodal plane. Now, coming to d orbital, these 5 are p orbitals. These are drawn like this because here there is possibility of finding electron in this area or region. Okay, and there are 4 lobes. Here the lobes are between the axis in these 3 d orbitals. Therefore, it forms a set number 1 or set 1. This is set 2, in which the orbitals are having lobes on the axis. Now coming to the next topic. Till now, we were discussing about the shapes of orbital, which are actually on the basis of the solution of Schrodinger wave equation. So, Schrodinger wave equation is a very complex and difficult equation for us, but if you try hard, you can learn more things from that. But when we solve the equation and from the values we draw the shapes, we get the shapes of orbital, which just now we discussed. Now, quantum numbers. The next topic for today is quantum numbers. Actually, what are quantum numbers and why they are needed? You know that in hydrogen spectrum, we have spectral lines again divided into fine spectral lines or fine structure which could not be explained by Bohr. So that was a defect. So we can say that every spectral line has again few lines inside them or in them. How to understand that? When spectra of different atoms were studied in high resolution spectroscope, it is found that number one, every spectral line is found to contain a number of closely related lines. As I told you just now, every spectral line. What is spectral line? This we discussed in part 2, that when we record energy either absorbed by atoms or molecules or emitted by atoms or molecules, it is called spectra. Actually, scientific definition for spectra is group of wavelengths or group of frequencies. But when we record it, we get lines or bands. This was the reason why I explained that in last class, in second lesson, where we have two types of spectra. Spectra called as line spectra and spectra called as band spectra. Line spectra is discontinuous spectra, whereas band spectra is a continuous one. Now, as I told you, the line spectra is given by atoms and the band spectra is generally given by molecules. So, here we have to remember 2 points. First is, every spectral line is found to contain a number of closely related lines. Second, these spectral lines split further into lines when placed under magnetic field or electric field. Means every spectral line will divide or split into further lines when they are either placed under magnetic field or electric field. One is called Zeeman effect, the other is called Stark effect. So when the line split under the influence of electric field, it is called Stark effect. Splitting of spectral line under electric field is called Stark effect, and the splitting of spectral line under magnetic field is called Zeeman effect. Now, what it indicates, let us first take what are these. This is Stark effect. When we apply electric field on this spectral line, this line represents spectral line. It splits into 1, 2, 3 lines here. Possibility of spectral line, splitting of the spectral line to 3 lines under the influence of electric field is called Stark effect. Now, this is Zeeman effect. Here, when these spectral lines are placed under magnetic field, this line is not splitting, whereas this is splitting into 3. This is called S and this is called P level, S level, P level, indicating that this spectral line is not splitting, means there are no further divisions of energies. Okay, there is no division of energies. Here there are. Due to energy change under the magnetic field, they will split. Because it is not splitting, means there is only one energy level or one orbital in S level, S sublevel. Whereas in the case of P, there are there is a possibility of splitting up this spectral line into 3, which gives you an idea that p sublevel contains 3 orbitals. So this is the normal spectra and this is the fine spectra, or it is recorded under the magnetic field. This is for s orbital or s sublevel, and this is for p sublevel. What it indicates, splitting of spectral lines indicate that the possibility of many energy changes inside the atom. Why there are possibility of energy changes? Because of presence of different energies. Different energies means orbitals with different energies. Actually, all 3 orbitals here are of nearly same energy. Therefore, they are called degenerate orbitals. And splitting of one line into 3 indicates p sublevel, as I told you just now. P orbitals, 3 p orbitals, px, py, and pz. These will have nearly same energies under normal conditions. Therefore, they are called orbitals with nearly equal energies, and they are generally called as degenerate orbitals. But when they are placed under either electric field or magnetic field, their energies undergo changes and they will orient themselves into different directions. As a result, we get 3 lines for P. Similarly, if it is B, then 5 lines. Similarly, for F, there will be 7 lines. This is the reason why we come to conclusion that in S sublevel, there is only 1 orbital, and in P sublevel, there are 3 orbitals, and in D sublevel, we have 5 orbitals, and in F sublevel, there are 7 orbitals. Okay, how we can come to conclusion how many orbitals are there in sp, d and f sublevels? It is based on again the same thing, that is splitting of lines under the which lines? Spectral lines under the influence of electric field or magnetic field. Since S line representing S sublevel is not splitting into further lines, there we conclude that it has only 1 orbital. For P sublevel, it is splitting into 3. We think that, or we guess that, we assume that there are 3 P orbitals. For D, it will be 5 lines, therefore 5 orbitals in D sublevel. For F, it will be 7. Therefore, we say there are 7 F orbitals, or 7 orbitals in F sublevel. So this is possible when there are sub-energy levels available in an atom, in which electrons can reside beside Bohr's circular orbit. So due to this, we confirm that there are some sub-energy levels in the main energy level, which is generally given by Bohr's circular orbit. Also, there are a number of orbitals available in an atom in which electrons can accommodate. As I told you, orbitals are nothing but the space around the nucleus where there is a possibility or probability of finding an electron. Means orbital accommodate electrons, and not more than 2 electrons can be accommodated by 1 orbital. Now coming to the quantum numbers. Okay, we have four quantum numbers. The first one is called principal quantum number. It is represented by n. Azimuthal quantum number or subsidiary, it is also called as subsidiary quantum number. This azimuthal quantum number is also called as subsidiary quantum number, L. Third one is magnetic quantum number, M. So these are the main three quantum numbers which are the result of solution of Schrodinger wave equation. Okay, so solution of Schrodinger wave equation give us set of three quantum numbers, namely principal quantum number designated by n, azimuthal or subsidiary quantum number designated by L, and third one is magnetic quantum number designated by M. All letters are small letters, but we know that we need four quantum numbers to identify any electron present in an atom. The fourth quantum number is called as spin quantum number, but it is not due to the solution of Schrodinger wave equation, but it is due to the reason that in an orbital there can be two electrons. When two electrons are present in one orbital, and we know that these electrons will be spinning on their own axis. Okay, every electron will spin on its own axis. Then the two electrons of same orbital will not spin in the same direction. They should have opposite spin. Remember that electrons of same orbital will have opposite spin. Means if one electron moves in clockwise direction, the other will move in anti-clockwise direction. So we need another quantum number called as spin quantum number to represent the spin of the electron. Therefore, there comes the fourth quantum number. And the fourth quantum number is called as spin quantum number. It is designated either by small s or sometimes ms. Whether it is s or ms, it is same. This is not the result of solution of Schrodinger wave equation, but even then there is a need to have this quantum number. Why? Because every electron is spinning on its own axis, and the spin of electron will be in two directions. One is in clockwise direction, the other is in anti-clockwise direction. So the fourth quantum number is not the result of solution for Schrodinger wave equation, but it arises due to the spin of electron on its own axis. Today, we will end our topic here, or the lesson here, and in the next lesson, we will again deal in detail with these four types of quantum numbers, namely principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, and the spin quantum number. So we have to go into details for all those four quantum numbers. So for today, it is the end. Thank you.